Hey everyone, 3D Hero here, and welcome to today's latest mix-up build, where today's build is one that focuses on using the Bazel Gunlance and creating a high explosive and quick damaging dealing build that combines standard attacks, shelling and triggering in an explosive status for a very large amount of damage within a short period that you produce it in. So this is a standard explosive set that can offer you quick and high damage once you get the right pacing going. And once you do get the right flow for the set, you'll be able to pull off fast attacks that leave little room for the monsters to counter back, but plenty of room for you to follow through and keep attacking the monster until they are slayed. It's one build I generally use for taking on either higher end content or something just to mess around with, and personally I find it quite great to use against Temple Deviljho, as Temple Deviljho is a type of monster that you can't be too aggressive with, but sometimes you're going to need something that can provide you with offense and defense. And going with the Lance, or better off the Gunlance, is one of the sets that can help me with defeating Temple Deviljho without dying or fainting or taking so much damage at all. Now, as the set does focus on using an explosive status effect for large damage when triggered, it's not the only area to where damage will be coming from. Your normal thrust or slam attacks can award you high damage when timing is right, and your shelling option, which is a wide shelling level 3, will net you around 50 plus damage every time you use this. But this does vary on sharpness levels, as it can decrease over time if your sharpness reaches, say, around orange or even yellow sharpness. This whole build can offer pretty much quick and relentless damage when needed, like you currently see in the video, to where I'm doing standard thrust attacks, then shelling and so forth, and every now and then I use the Within Stake to up the ante with it. This is generally what you can do as well, as it works perfectly for lowering down monsters' health, as shelling isn't affected by any hidden parameters, so it will always do full damage no matter what. You also have to remember that you burn through sharpness very quickly if you don't land your hits, so at times you're going to be in a situation where you can't use your standard lance attack, as you may be at yellow sharpness, but you can still use shelling, which is always an option. But in this case, I'll show you what I currently have, and some of the things that can be changed up to make the build more effective for you, and generally some of the things that I found effective for me when I was using and testing the build out. So the current skills I went for are ones that focus on increasing the shelling damage, increasing the Bazel Buster status affliction, and of course, doing as much damage as possible. But at the same time I went with a few survival skills like medicine and handicraft to help allow me to stay longer in fights and increase my survivability. But of course, you can change it to whatever you feel will be more beneficial for your skills. At the same time, like always, I chose to go with the Bazel Buster Gunlance with a health and affinity augmentation, as it's quite an underrated weapon that I don't see a lot of people talk about or genuinely use for reasons unknown. But it's a great explosive weapon if you want to focus on a pure explosive build, which my build does offer slightly. So with that, I genuinely went with the following skills to make the build work overall. Blast attack 3 max, so I can increase the amount of blast hit as I build up over time, which is one of the main things I'm going to be proccing most of the time while I'm in fights. Weakness exploit 3, so I do more damage every time I hit a weak point and do lance hits. Artillery 3, so my wide shelling and within blast do more damage when activated. This usually nets me around 50 plus if I use just shelling, which works great for doing poke shelling method. And the Within Blast, if it hits, can land me around 100 to 120 damage times 3, so an overall damage of around 300 plus. Capacity boost is also needed, as without it you only have 2 shells to use, which means your combo will be a lot more shorter, and so will the missing damage. If you are unlucky and you can't get one, then alternatively you could go with the Heavy Metal Waste, which gives you that skill for free, and then you just need to sacrifice a level 1 slot to replace your missing blast attack skill. Next up, we have the Guard 3 and Guard Up. These two skills are needed so I can block normal attacks, and at the same time allow me to block unblockable attacks, which come in handy when facing Elder Dragons or Temple Deviljho attacks. However, it's very limited at times when using this, as sometimes with enough damage done you'll never need to activate it. And this mainly goes for Guard Up. So, if you have the jewel, I recommend you replace it with a polished jewel, where instead you could do more shelling and lance attack without worrying about running out of sharpness. Alternatively, you could use a Veil Extended Jewel to allow you to dodge and move around faster when using your Gunlance, but this honestly might not be worthwhile for you, as generally I've noticed that you need at least a level 2 version to see the major difference. Whatever you go with, it's going to be a free slot either way. Handicraft 2 is very well needed as well, as for this weapon it burns through sharpness very quickly. Considering my attack pattern is always poke, shell, proc explosive, and then if the monster falls down, use my Within Blast. And within those few seconds, I can hit around yellow sharpness very fast, which can be a major problem depending on the monster I'm facing. So you can either do what I do and use speed sharpening level 3 to help negate yellow sharpness from happening, or you can use this combination that honestly I recommend you use, as it's a bit more flexible or more better if you have the duel. Use a wet fish plus and protective polish to allow you to stay longer in fights without sharpening. But this means you sacrifice a guard up duel, so remember, the main downside to this is that yes, you'll be able to stay in longer fights and generally take on, I say, basic monsters such as Odogaron, Raytheon and Rathalos, but if you were going to go up against, say for example, Giante, Chiostra or Kushala, who have major attacks that can potentially one-shot you, you're at risk of being killed easily if you don't have the guard up duel. And then lastly, we have the recovery up level 1, which is just there to help with recovering more health while attacking. But this is something that you can generally change out for something else, like more health or faster health recovery. It's just generally there to help me out in many ways. Overall, this set will give you 495 attack, blast element pushed up to 260, and defense to 421. But I made sure to augment my defenses to be this high so I can take on 10-man monsters, which hit more harder, and basically allows me to not rely on healing so much. Although my weapon will allow me to heal most of the time when I attack, I don't really want to be getting into the things, attacking a monster, getting hit here and there, and then put my shield away just to heal every now and then. I kind of want to tank as much damage as I can, while I'm proccing the healing aspect of my weapon to always stay in the fight and be pretty much aggressive. So when it comes down to fighting style, it's generally pretty simple, as you will be detonating explosives, shelling, and doing normal thrust attacks, all in one combo. And as you have seen in the video, this is practically what I do, but more aggressive on the playstyle. I found that with this set I could speedrun through monsters relatively easily, as the damage is pretty great for a weapon that isn't that commonly used by many. Of course, if I wanted more damage overall, I could have switched to the Royal Burst, which has a wide level 4, so better damage and more raw damage, plus affinity, than the Bazel Buster can offer. However, reasons being I never went for that weapon is because of the explosive element that the Bazel Buster has, which makes the set more practical for what I was aiming for. And I feel like I've achieved that, as the build can stand up to whatever is thrown at me, while allowing me to be aggressive and high damaging to monsters, and leaving them open to cause a ridiculous amount of damage when the moment is right. One thing to say though is that I could definitely make this build a bit more effective in terms of shelling and explosive damage by going with the Xeno set pieces that allow me to negate my weapon's sharpness when activated, as this would allow my damage to stay consistent and not One thing to say though about this build is that I could have definitely made this build a bit more effective in terms of shelling and explosive damage by going all the way with using the Xeno set pieces that allow me to negate my weapon's sharpness when activated, as generally this will allow me to do more damage consistently and not revolve around sharpening all the time. But I noticed that by doing that I'll be missing out on certain slot levels, which overall could result in less damage and pretty much overall change up the whole entirety of the build, which in many cases might be better in one case, but in another case it might be much more terrible. But this is something I will be testing out in the future to see how well it truly pans out, as I know the Xeno set pieces are generally top tier for anything you use. So in the near future I'm probably going to test this piece out, see how effectively well it works with a certain Gunlance, anything could be viable, and if I find something great, then sure, I'll upload it. If not, then I'll probably just keep it to myself and just mess around with it a bit more until I get something a bit more viable and noteworthy to go ahead and use. But overall, I can say that this build is pretty damn great. I've been using this set for quite a bit, and I can genuinely tell you that if you want something that can speedrun relatively quickly with building up explosive and shelling and with stake and fire, and if you're someone that just enjoys explosions and you just enjoy doing tons of damage within one go, then I say go for this build here. This build offers you everything. Some of the skills here are genuinely things you can get easily, although some of the alternatives like the Sharp Jewel, which is not easy to get, can be replaced with something else. But if you're looking for something that can do a ton of damage and something that will fill in the gap for you wanting more damage but you don't want to be too reliable on this one build, then this here is generally for you. If you don't like it, then of course you can always go ahead and try something else, maybe meta worthy. But if you're someone that wants something new and different, this is something to go definitely worthwhile for. And that comes to the end of the video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then a like and a sub would be appreciated. Do comment if there's anything you're confused with or would genuinely change, and I'll try my best to help you out. But once again, thank you for watching, and I do definitely hope to see you again soon.